My name is Susan Tenner, and I'm the co-founder and executive director for BUGS. I really want to welcome you all to this information session tonight. It's really important to have you with us. We're sorry that we can't be with you in person. As you will see, we will be having an overview as well as a tour. We have lots of students and families present today to help you out with your questions and to give you sort of a virtual tour of our school. And we'll fill you in more on our curriculum and address a lot of the frequently asked questions that Susan Baxt, our Director of Outreach, and Antoinette Stewart are coordinating in the chat box there, and also the questions that we received in advance of this session. We also are joined by our parent coordinator, Julissa Puello, and I want to be sure that those of you who may be calling in and can't see the screen know that they can contact her with any questions in Spanish, written or by email or by text. Julissa, could you unmute for a moment and introduce yourself and state the directions on how they can reach you?
Hi, Susan. Hi, everybody. My name is Julissa Puello. I'm the parent coordinator. My email is right on this first slide on the bottom. You guys can email me, or also you can text that phone number or call at any moment if you need help with anything.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Julissa. So again, those of you that are just joining us, welcome, welcome. Please mute. And if you can, also turn off your video cameras as well, just to cut down on the distraction for everybody so we can focus on each other. So Josh, why don't you take us to the next slide and we'll get started. I'm not seeing the slide advance, Josh. Is it on my end or is that advancing for you?
It's advancing for me.
Okay, great. There it is. I think there's just a little delay maybe on my end. Thanks.
No problem.
So again, thank you so much for joining us. We have a great, about an hour in store for us. This session is being recorded. So if you missed something or you come in late or you need to leave early, we will be posting it and sharing it with you all so that you can have access to it later. I want to, again, just acknowledge how challenging this time is for so many in our community. And we all truly, truly hope that you and yours are doing well, and we wish you our best. This is also a time of great hope. We have Earth Day today, the big 50th anniversary of Earth Day, which our students celebrated in wonderful fashion by having a virtual assembly our students hosted and asking questions of student activists from our area, which was a very inspiring session and a great demonstration of student voice, one of our prime CARES values at BUGS. So I'll just start by saying a little bit about the school and the major elements of the school. So it's a school called BUGS, the Brooklyn Urban Garden Charter School, but we're not just about gardens, as I hope you know. We are really focused on sustainability in all of its facets. So it's not just environmental sustainability, but social and economic sustainability. We were started in 2013 by a group of community members, parents, and educators in District 15 that were really looking to address not just a capacity issue where there weren't enough middle school seats, not just in our district, but citywide, but also an equity issue. There was a problem with a disproportionate number of more affluent families and non-racially integrated schools in our district in the middle school level. And we really wanted to create a school that enabled everyone to come together and had innovation that focused on what middle schoolers need and how they learn best. We know that a student-focused and whole child approach is always needed, but certainly in the middle years, that kind of autonomy that students can demonstrate and choice in their studies, that they see the relevance of what they're learning, that it's hands-on, that it's real world, that is really important to them. And so creating a charter school allowed us the latitude to have such an innovative model, to have more time for learning. So we do have an extended school day and a little bit of an extended school year, and that we open a week before the Department of Education, which allows us some critical time to get to know each other and to team build and to get acclimated academically, which will be particularly important this coming fall as well. And again, we are intentionally diverse and we're small, and our size is really important to us. We focus on the middle years and we focus on all of our kids. We have 300 kids, 100 a grade, that we know well at a time where they need to be known well and not fall through the cracks when they're going through a lot of personal change. And so that's just really important to us, that we know all of our kids. This time during remote learning is particularly, that's particularly critical, and our response to the crisis just shows how important it is not just to be small and agile and have strong relationships, but to really have the latitude to make our own decisions and the nimbleness to adapt. Let me just pause for a moment. Josh, is it just me, or I'm not seeing the screen? Is everybody seeing the screen?
Sorry, it seemed that someone was trying to share the screen. I think we're back.
I saw that. I was admiring the initiative. Someone was ready to share their screen already and jump in. Thank you, Josh, for yeah, we can just stay on the slide for just one moment. And so really the focus on critical thinking is something that's key around our sustainability approach. And so hopefully you'll see that as well as we share more about our school. And you'll also get a sense of our faculty and how important co-teaching is to what we do and to our inclusion model. Bugs is really a place where you can be a big fish in a small pond. And it's, again, at a very critical time in a child's development. So let's go to the next slide and we'll start to overview some things and take you on a tour. So our mission is to provide a hands-on interdisciplinary education to young adolescents of all abilities and backgrounds, with a focus on real-world problem solving and the exploration of social, economic, and environmental sustainability. So you see us working on that in every aspect of our school, how we run the school, the content, our pedagogy, and our CARES values guide our work. Their community, awareness, reach, exploration, student voice, and sustainability. And you see that in everything we do as well. You could just move up, Josh, that'd be great. One more slide. So our vision is for Bugs students to excel in the core academic subjects and to become engaged community members who are critical thinkers, and they're prepared to achieve excellence in high school and beyond and contribute to a more just, equitable, and sustainable future. Had some really exciting talks with some of our first high school graduates this year as they reflected on how Bugs changed the trajectory of their way in the world and their hopes for their future. And we have an alumni with us as well who can talk about his how Bugs prepared him for high school as well. So this is just a little video. Again, we're so sorry. We know that a lot of you are probably really, maybe experiencing webinar fatigue. And here we are again, presenting slides around such a critical decision that you all are facing. And we're just gonna do our best to try to give you a flavor for what life at Bugs is by having all these wonderful people on the call, and also showing you images and slices of life at Bugs, both when we're normally there and a little bit in the remote learning context as well. So this video is a little bit of an older video, but it does show the school and the field study in action. If you could play that for us, Josh, real quickly. It's just a minute.
Let me tell you what I love. Urban Garden Charter School, otherwise known as Bugs. At my school, we have strong STEAM classes at science, technology, engineering, arts, and math, and other interesting project work that helps students like me to master skills, think deeply, and apply what we know. We care about our environment and have a sustainability education approach through field studies that we design and research ourselves. My family and I get one-on-one support for high school admissions. We have incredible teachers and staff who know and support me every day that I come to school. At Bugs, we have twice daily meditation and daily recess to balance fun, hard work, and quiet reflection. We are a small, supportive, and safe learning community where I have made great friends to last a lifetime. At Bugs, my teachers help me take control of my learning and become the person I want to be.
Great, thank you so much, Josh. So you can sort of see an example of the initiative that becomes engendered in a Bugs student that's a result of their work with us, and that you can even see in our chat. So a lot of your questions are being answered just by students who are with us. So thank you so much to the staff and the students who are answering questions in real time in the chat, as well as who will answer them verbally and do some more presenting as we proceed. So Josh, let's go to the next slide. So what is sustainability? Sustainability is making certain that life continues on Earth for generations by recognizing the impact of our actions on the planet and its people. It's kind of a buzzword that we unpack with our students and our families all 3 years that they're with us, and that we continue to as the founder and as faculty, throughout all of our time, constantly unpacking what does sustainability education really mean, and we'll talk some more about those competencies next. But this COVID-19 crisis is actually a good example of this interconnection of environmental, economic, and social sides of sustainability. So we have a time in the planet where we're having this crisis of health that is resulting in many ways the improvement in our environment and certain aspects of our environmental environment, but it is affecting, of course, our economy, and also the social equity issues play out so much as well. So that's just sort of an example of how Bugs isn't really just about the gardens, and it's not just about environmentalism per se. It's really about looking at issues critically through the lens of these 3 pillars of sustainability. And it really engenders in the kids a lot of very deep critical thinking and exercising some of these competencies that are in the slide that I'll just share briefly. Thanks. So as the kids could tell you, there's all different aspects to thinking about sustainability, and these are the competencies that they are building and exercising in all of their project work and in their studies. So they need to think strategically, and they have an action orientation, that they must consider multiple perspectives. They're not just flying in with solutions or with protest or any number of immediate approaches. Adolescence isn't known for its humility, but we do, while we engender student voice, we're always working really hard on making sure that that's very informed, that they're doing their research, that they are engaging stakeholders, so there's stakeholder engagement, they're thinking about multiple perspectives before they take their action, and then it continues in a feedback loop. to refining their approach. They're gathering that feedback, they're thinking systemically, and they're thinking constantly about the future. And we know that this is so important, that there really is no planet B and no plan B here. Again, I'm so glad to share this with you on Earth Day. So now I'm going to be joined by a 6th grader to take you on a tour through the 6th grade hallways. Alex Bast is a 6th grader. Can you introduce yourself?
Hi, my name is Alexandra Bast. I'm in the 6th grade. I'm a 6th grade representative in my student council, and we're going to be going around the school today to give you guys a quick tour of our 6th grade hallways.
And you killed it today, Alex, on the virtual assembly with the poem reading, by the way. Yeah, it was awesome. Okay, so you can see here that we have a separate entrance, right? So that's really nice. There's some questions around the facility. We do share the facility with other schools, but we have a dedicated entrance and we have our own spaces. We don't interact much really at all, but we do have a separate uniform, as you can see on the kids, of green and white, that makes it really easy for everyone in the school to distinguish, sort of who belongs to whom, but there's not a whole lot of overlap. Right outside, when you come into the door, you would have seen the Bugs Gardens. Alex, do you want to tell them a little bit about your experience in the gardens and just being outside in general?
Yeah, sure. So the Bugs Gardens are a great way to kind of get outside during our class, specifically Sustainability Studio. And sustainability is usually a double block. We have a double block once a week, and we usually go outside, whether it's to the gardens or to the park. And the Bugs Gardens, sometimes we just do some drawing out there. Sometimes we do our projects out there just to kind of get a little bit of an outside experience so we're not cramped up inside all day. And it's just a great way to be able to experience nature while still in a school environment.
Yeah, that was really one of the motivating factors for creating the school. Was also a lot of focus at that time about instead of the No Child Left Behind Act, it was the No Child Left Inside focus. And we do think that it's so important that we have access to the outdoors, even in our urban environment, or particularly in our urban environment, and that adolescents can connect with their immediate community physically, and that they have opportunities to move and be outside, which can often dwindle more as they age from the elementary years. So we'll take the next slide. So if you were to walk through the hallway of our Bugs door there, you would see the gym on our right, which is the middle slide. You see some of our cheerleaders and basketball team there. We really love that we're able to offer big school amenities that are so rare in New York City: a large gym, a large auditorium, cafeteria, and recess yard. And are able to offer these large school amenities in a smaller and intimate school environment, such as Bugs. So you can see the auditorium on the left and the cafeteria on the right, and some fun lunch programs that we have often. You can hit the next slide. Oh, I should mention, that's okay, you can stay there, Josh. But I will mention there were some questions around the facility. We have good partnerships with the school. We have great partnership with the diocese, with whom from whom that we rent. And so we have every intention of staying, as does the diocese, for us to stay. This is our home, and we really do see it as our long-term home. And as I said, our partnerships with the other schools are very smooth as well. So when you come up to Bugs, you'll see that there's a 6th grade wing and there's a 7th and an 8th grade wing, which is a wonderful way for the kids to be able to have sort of acclimate to the middle school environment. So the 6th grade wing is all just 6th graders. And so you're coming from elementary school and you're needing to adjust to switching classes and having so many different teachers assigning different things. And it's just a great sort of step into that, because you're switching classes, but only across the hall or just down the hall. And I think it's something that I think you Anna, Alex's mom, Anna Bast is here as well, that I think you were saying that you appreciated.
Yeah, no, it really is one of the selling points for us. You know, the middle school years are sort of tough years with a lot of change, and to be able to go into a school that's a smaller community and is really sort of focused on helping the students sort of, you know, maneuver through those difficult years sometimes and just really find the joy and the community in them is great. And we've definitely felt that to be true at Bug. So.
And we've got some open classrooms, so you would be invited to these hallways often for student-led conferences and for open classroom opportunities. So we've opened the door to 6th grade writing to the classroom. Alex, do you want to tell us what's going on?
Yeah, sure. So in 6th grade writing, it's basically a writing class. And in the pictures you see here on the right, it was one of our open classrooms that we had. And these kids are reading essays. We all wrote essays about teen activists that inspire us. And we had a unit on teen activism and social issues. And we were reading essays that we wrote. 6th grade writing is a really nice class, really fun class, because there's so much creativity embedded into it. And I think that writing is just like one of my favorite subjects because we just get to be creative. And that's something that I always want to do. And so I love 6th grade writing for that.
Yeah, I know that Ms. Mo and Mr. Aaron really make it fun, and yeah, so I'm so glad. So let's go to the next classroom. Sixth grade reading. So what's going on in there?
Okay, so in these pictures, you can see some projects that these kids are presenting, and we did a unit on climate change, and our unit project was there were 3 categories of climate change that you could choose from, and you did a project about that, and you had 3 options. I think you could do a poster, a video, or something else. I don't remember, but it was really creative, and I did a video myself. Here you see on the left, I think this person is presenting a video, and then on the right and in the middle, these kids are presenting their posters. And that day was also an open classroom to present our posters. And yeah, that's 6th grade reading.
Awesome. And one of the things that I think illustrates well what it means to really have interdisciplinary sustainability studies at Bugs and how it engenders that critical thinking for our students and that deep learning is we have certain cycle projects that more explicitly connect everything that the kids are learning in each class. So here you see a display board that a student created on throwaway culture. So one of the units in 6th grade is around textile. And so when they're in reading, they were actually reading about throwaway culture and fast fashion. When they're in writing, they may be writing about that. And when you see that will enter these other classes as well, they will be looking at that issue of textiles from a variety of angles. So in science, they'll be looking at the chemical compositions and aspect of clothing. And in Sustainability Studio, they actually did some explicit planting of flax seed and looking at textiles and textile artists that work a lot with textiles, doing weaving. And in social studies, they also really looked into the labor conditions and just sort of the economics and the production process of clothing production. And so it all kind of culminated together, and it all starts to click more as you look at the subject from multiple angles and apply the subject's skills in different ways to really understand a problem. And then it culminates in a project that sometimes is something that's shared, or sometimes it has a lot of student choice to it. These students also worked on, which Alex can tell you about later, using their upcycled textiles to create some sleeping bags for the homeless as their culminating community action project. So I wanted to give that, as we go to the other classrooms, give you that layout so you can kind of see that clicking when you look at the student work and we talk about those classes. So let's head over to the next class. Oh, we love science, definitely. Alex, you want to talk about science?
Okay, so science is a really fun class, and in these pictures you can see on the left we were doing a project about solar ovens, and we were given different materials that we had to use, and we had to create a kind of, not machine, but like a structure that we had like kind of a competition where we competed to see who could melt chocolate fastest with with a lamp and the materials we were given. And so we do a lot of labs like that. We do a lot of experiments in science class. In the middle, you can see one of my friends working, and we have a lot of animals in science class. This is Iggy, our bearded dragon, on the towel, and we have fish, we have turtles, we have Iggy, and we have a ton of plants as well. Yeah, that's science class.
Great. So, and you guys, oh, we can mention you were working on your biome projects, I think now too. Did you end up presenting those in the remote context, or were you doing that when you were present?
We presented that before we went to remote learning, yes.
You want to just explain that a little bit?
Yeah, so this is another one of our labs, and we were split up into groups in our classes, and we had to simulate living in a certain biome for 7 days, and we got to choose 5 items off of a list, and we basically had to live in that biome, and we researched like the endangered animals, the food that you could find in that biome, like the weather and stuff like that. So yeah, that was what we did.
Great. And I see there were also some questions about the labs. There are labs that are done, and there's some very explicit labs that are done in the living environment class in particular. And all students, all of our bug students take living environment for high school credit as 8th graders. So let's move on to math. So math is a language, algebra is an art form. This is a quote from our director of math, Mr. W, Jared Wonneberger. And we really try to make math super fun and apply it to the project work as much as possible and give it real world relevance. You can see on like the left side here as an example of how ratios are used, where that skill of doing ratios was applied to this unit on textiles. And so students were looking at the life cycle of their t-shirt. Some students were even researching more in depth the specific life cycle of their uniform. And they looked at it, they applied their knowledge of ratios to look at it in terms of what was required to produce it. Also, you can see here the amount of water used to launder it. And so that's sort of an example of looking at things from different angles. Did you want to add anything else about math, Alex?
We also looked at more of the, like another real world aspect of the life cycle of a t-shirt. And I personally did a project, and some of my classmates did too, on how much a worker gets paid on average to do the labor of creating t-shirts. And it was really interesting and like really sad to see how little people get paid in other countries. And so that was another thing that we did with that too.
And what I love about Mr. W's approach and all of our math teachers is they're really gung-ho about math, but that doesn't mean that they were math geeks their whole lives. It just means that they believe in the magic of math and that they want to share that with students and build the skills in them, and this attitude that everyone's good at math. And there's a lot that happens in the middle years by gender, by race, just certain internalization that starts to happen where people think, I'm not good at math. And we really try to overcome that by making classrooms very playful and creative and observing and having this real world applied aspect. We could take the next slide. Thanks, Josh. Social studies. Okay. So, Alex, you want to walk us through what's going on in social studies?
Yeah, sure. So on the left, I'm actually in that photo, but on the left that day, we were making sleeping bags for the homeless, as you mentioned briefly. And we used recycled materials that classmates donated, and we used those to create sleeping bags. So we each had different jobs, like some of us would sew, some of us would cut. And if you weren't interested in sewing, we also did little cards that had phone numbers for homeless shelters and the addresses for homeless shelters. In the middle, there is a poster that we did on one of the 7 major world religions, and we studied that probably a couple months ago, and we got to do a unit project about religion of our choice, and so that was really fun. I really love social studies because the projects are very varied. So like we can really choose like what we want to do and be creative with it. You can do a poster, you can do a comic, a video, and my teachers really give us the option to do like whatever sparks our creativity and shows that we learn something. So
that's awesome. It's you know, one of my favorite projects that I saw was when the kids were designing games, board games around studying migration, and there's so many neat things that you guys do in that class. I just also have to give a shout out of appreciation to our director of outreach, Susan Bax, who put this together, because we didn't realize we would ever really need to tell the story in quite this way or visit classrooms in this way. So she was mining all of these images to try to give us a sense of going on this tour and seeing student work in this particular way, as if you were looking at the wall. So shout out to Susan. And on the right, I remember this really well as well. It was a sort of a mock legislative session. There's a lot of these opportunities that we try to have in our classes where kids are simulating the real world, that they're understanding the legislative process, that they're getting they're fine-tuning their awareness of different sides of an issue and the nuance of all the different stakeholders. And that's what was going on here, some negotiation around a mock bill, if I recall. So let's head to our next subject. Sustainability Studio. So this is our foundational class for 6th grade. It puts together sort of like Sustainability 101 concepts and some of that framework that, again, they're getting in all their other classes, but this really lays a lot of the groundwork. And it's combined with a classic studio art, visual art class. So the focus is on design and art as to inspire and to solve sustainability problems. You can see some of our students in the garden. You heard Alex talk a lot about going out a lot in Sustainability Studio. That's really important. And a lot of the work there is also very open-ended. They did study, you see some weaving, and they did study a lot of artists who focused on using natural materials. The children explored that as well, and particularly textile art, which came up in that particular unit. And you see a student sharing with his mom his work during an open classroom session. I don't quite know what's going on in the other one. Do you, Alex, on the right?
On the right?
Yeah.
I'm not sure, but I remember we had, we could do creative projects of our choice as long as we were using recycled materials. And it looks like here there's a girl drawing with crayons on a big piece of paper. So I did myself, me and my friends, we teamed up to do a finger weaving rug. And so that turned out really nice. And we got to present it at our open classroom. So yeah.
That's great. And we also did some, I think you guys did some paper making and other things. It's an amazing class. All right, so let's go to the next slide, which is the community market and farm stand. So the end year project culminates a lot of this work in the garden and in our studies and creating different kinds of wares to sell and art to share, culminates in a community market and farm stand, which sadly would be going on, which we would be preparing for more explicitly now, and would be going on the end of May and in June. And it's really a wonderful opportunity for kids to share what they've been working on. So literally some of the yield from the gardens, and they're working on doing the ordering for the through Grow NYC, through the Green Market program. We actually are a farmer's market. So the kids look at the orders and try to, in math, determine what the ordering budget would be, and based on the previous week's sales, tweak that for the following week. They're also sharing their wares that are connected to their studies. So in social studies, when they're studying the spice trade, they actually last year chose that their project that they would share was making tea bags, and they had sort of shared with people who bought it what they had learned about the spice trade. And Mint's connection to that, and they made mint tea that they sold, and yeah, a whole series of different performances and culminating projects. It's the community market and farm stand is sort of part farmers market, part stage, and definitely the interface between the school and the community that's just so meaningful for the kids. The kids plan and do virtually everything. So we really look forward to giving them that opportunity when we get back to school. And I think we see on the right a student talking about it. Can we play that? Is that live, Josh?
Fresh fruits, vegetables, and other local farmers. The students also grew some of the vegetables and herbs that were sold at the stand.
It's better to buy at the farmer's market than to buy at like a grocery store, because they put all these toxic chemicals in the fresh, and our food travels like millions and millions of miles to get where we are, creating food miles, which isn't good for our environment.
If you didn't have a chance to visit the farm stand this year, you'll get another chance when it returns next spring. All right,
we didn't know that actually we wouldn't be returning next spring with the farm stand, but we will eventually. Again, a great student project, so meaningful and real connection to the community. It also just allows our students to exercise their skills in a way that they don't normally get a chance to in different school environments. We're going to move on to arts and enrichment classes. We got a lot of questions about arts and enrichment. And I thought I would just take a moment to explain to you how that plays out at Bugs. So you have the visual art, you have that sustainability studio that we told you about that happens in 6th grade. And there's also, there's art clubs, and there's also a group that forms. We really help our students with portfolio development if that's where they wanna put their efforts around high school admissions, as well as any sort of other performing art preparations. They have project block class choices that happen in 7th and 8th grade, and those include things such as a dance class. And we have lots of clubs that happen throughout the school day during lunch and recess, and then also after school. So that includes singing and stepping, garden club. So there's a lot of opportunities for arts, and for physical education, daily recess, and competitive sports. That's something that's really important to us, that kids move. And so daily recess is very important. And we also have an early morning recess for those that want to come before school starts and really get their move on. Aside from time for movement, it's also really important to have quiet time and time for quiet, and to give kids the skills they need to calm themselves and to tune in and to acknowledge without judgment how they're feeling and to regroup. This is something that we really focus on right now. We always do, but particularly at this time, we're so grateful that our kids have these skills to help them as they face the uncertainty of the current environment and all the different layers of feeling that they have. It was so nice. I went into a quiet time session today. We're actually doing quiet time meditations twice a day, just like we would normally. And we do them virtually, and it's really a beautiful time to be in community and to meditate. We have Spanish in 7th and 8th grade. We don't currently offer that in 6th grade because of Sustainability Studio and other classes. And we have a series of other clubs as well They are very popular, including debate and math knockouts. They compete. We've done really well competing in math competitions. Is there anything you want to add to that, Alex?
So not really, but I'm in the singing club personally, and we recently took a trip to Dear Evan Hansen, and we got to watch the musical, and I thought it was really awesome. We all saved up enough money to go. It was really great. Mr. Josh is such a great leader for that. So yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm so glad you guys had that opportunity. The staff and the kids definitely know how to grab the reins and create community and opportunities for the kids. And they're always, we as you'll hear, they're definitely don't have complacent staff. They will always go the extra mile to create opportunities for kids. And we encourage them to keep a lookout if there needs to be a new club. And we encourage kids to create their own club if it doesn't exist already. So we're going to meet some other bug students. We thank you so much. Alex, you can feel free to chime in on the next things as well. But as you may have seen in the chat, there's Naomi McLeod, and there's Antonia Duretti, and there's Amelia Thornhill that are also with us. There may even be some other folks. I think Alifair, are you with us too? And these are Bugs kids that are answering your questions in the chat. And they're here to tell you about some other things that you had questions about. There was a question about what is advisory like. There were some questions about quiet time. They can talk about field study a little bit. Certainly, they're very gung-ho about student government and other clubs and NJHS. They can talk a little bit about what student-led conferences are like. And also, there were some questions around our approach to discipline. And I think it's also really good to hear that from the students as well. So if you could advance to the next slide, Josh, maybe does someone want to jump in with the approach to discipline? Oh, did I skip meaningful technology integration? Oh, man. Josh, can we go back to that when they're done?
Sure,
okay,
no
sorry. I was just on a roll there with the kids. Sorry. We'll loop back. Don't let me forget. All right. Naomi and Antonia and Amelia and Alifair and Alex, anyone else who wants to jump in, can you, who would like to take on Dean's List and just approach to discipline and culture?
I can do that if you want.
Thanks, Amelia. Hi.
Hi. So Dean's List is like a way to keep track of student behaviors and making sure that, you know, everyone is staying on track. We use it to record our attendance, our quiet time scores, and our points. So we recently updated our system where there's no longer deductions, but I won't complicate it anymore. So if you have a good behavior, you can get additions for it, and you have this like Bugs bank where you have a store of all the points that you've ever gotten. So let's say you show up in uniform, 10 points. So it's pretty easy to get the points. But if you aren't doing something like maybe you're talking in class, calling out, something like that, you will get an infraction, which doesn't subtract points, but it does record a behavior. And there are 5 levels of infractions, 1 being the least harmful and 5 being like very extreme. So if you get a certain amount, I think it's, actually I don't know the amount of infractions, you get lunch detention, and that's not fun. So you don't want to do that. And also, if you get a certain amount of infractions, and you're in 8th grade, you might not be able to go out for lunch because people, like the deans, might not think that you are going to like come back or you're going to behave and make good representation of our school outside. So it's just a way for teachers and everybody to, it's a good way for people and everybody else to like track, you know, what's going on with everyone. And
thank you, Amelia.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. So as you can hear from what Amelia's saying, it's a way to communicate for kids to know sort of where they stand and to be really clear about what the community is expecting of them, and for parents to actually see that as well. But I know that it also can sound kind of artificial, or to have points around certain kinds of behaviors, but we have found that it's really effective. It's a positive behavior intervention strategy, as many of you probably your children have experienced in elementary school with PBIS. So it emphasizes and incentivizes the positive, but it also tries to be really clear about also how to make right when things are wrong. So as Amelia was saying, like going out for lunch is really a privilege, and if your behavior has not shown that you can handle that level of responsibility and conducting yourself responsibly in the community during lunch, then that's sort of the natural consequence there, and the Dean's List helps track that. It also really helps in the middle years to have Randa Irvine, if you could mute yourself, please, that would be great.
Oh, I thought I turned my thing off.
Yeah, if you could just mute, that'd be wonderful. Thank you. Appreciate it. Yeah, and it allows different teachers, right, to know what's going on. Oh, Susan's having a bad day today, or we noticed this behavior here, is something going on. So it helps us to connect all of the dots. Again, with the focus being on really incentivizing our CARES values and making sure that everyone's contributing positively to the community. There's a lot of opportunity for restoration, restorative acts, so that it's not just that consequences are, you can't do this, you can't do that, but that you also have an opportunity to make it right and really look someone in the eye and have an honest apology, or make amends in another way. Can I ask you, maybe Naomi, you want to describe advisory? We had some questions about what advisory is like, and some of the curriculum and advisory and the focus and the relationships.
Yeah, well, advisory is like the first thing you have in the day. It's also one of the first people you meet when you come to Bugs, which is really good because it's like a small group of people that it's like about 13 people that you get to see when you first come to Bugs. And then you have an advisor who's kind of like a person who, it might be your teacher, one of your teachers, or might be just a staff member that you kind of look to for guidance or help, whether it's like outside of school you're having problems, or you're having problems with your work or different things. They can help you check your grades, like about once a week you check your grades, and they kind of give you like some advice. Like they can email the teacher for you if you're having some problems with the class, or if you're missing work or anything. You could also make up work in advisory. So I think advisory is very helpful to have at the beginning of the day. And it's also like where you meet a lot of your friends when you first come to Bugs, because you're in advisory when you first come.
That's perfect. Thank you so much, Naomi. It really helps our kids as they are gaining more executive functioning, and I'm still working on that, but particularly the adolescent brain is really developing like its prefrontal cortex and getting organized and switching classes all the time. It places a lot of demands on that prefrontal cortex. So having advisory, having a small group where you can touch base with an advisor who will go through your Teacheries, which is our school information system, with the student to really see what work they need to make up, what issues they're having, and help them get organized and advocate for themselves and their education is really important. And then to just, like Naomi said so well, have that social emotional connection and have a real posse that you have, and that you unpack a lot of social emotional issues around adolescence with. Great. And then how about you, Antonia? We haven't heard from you. Do you want to take on maybe student-led conferences or field studies?
Sure. So a lot of times, so I'll do student-led conferences.
Okay, great.
I guess. So we had that recently. So students will be able to show their parents what they have done. And so you'll be sitting with a teacher in your class, and you'll be able to show your parents what you've done in that class and like present it. So a lot of times it's a very good way to show what you've done and to show the progress you've made. So your parents can understand, because a lot of times we'll do different projects and activities in classes. And I know last year I presented a lot of my I did like a math project, like this water project, which was a sponge park in the Gowanus Canal. And I presented that to my mom, and it was a very cool way for her to understand, because it's not a common thing that you do in every school. Like I know when I first came to Bugs, doing all these different sustainability and incorporating it to, especially to every class, it's very interesting and very cool and very different. Like you don't see that every day in other schools. So it's a way to also reflect on your work and see your progress and see what I did wrong, but also what I did good.
That's perfect. Thank you so much, Antonia. In the interest of time, because I know we got started late, I really want to make sure that we get to Josh and then also to Wynette, our amazing principal. I hope that you all can stay with us. Forgive us for the delay in the technology getting rolling here. Please do stay with us. The picture on the right, by the way, is you guys at the LEAD conference, right? NJHS, National Junior Honor Society. I know you guys love to talk about it, but we're gonna have to just move along. And Josh, do you want to talk about meaningful technology integration and maybe touch a little bit on the transition to remote learning, and then we'll bring in Wynette?
Sure, sounds good. So hello, everyone. My name is Josh Altamirano, and I'm the Instructional and Operational Technology Coordinator here at Bugs. I work closely with our staff to not only increase our educational technology capacity, but also to empower our teachers to integrate technology in a meaningful way. As you may have noticed on various slides throughout the presentation, you'll see that students have some type of technology in their hands, whether it's iPads, laptops, Chromebooks, Sphero robots, or Arduino circuits. They really use these pieces of technology across content areas. We believe that technology doesn't just happen in one computer lab like it did years ago, but instead it can happen school-wide. And students learn how to code in math and science as they use the Sphero robots to understand some spatial relationships and calibrate precise measurements. You may see students in Sustainability Studio 3D printing models for their garden designs. And in my 8th grade project block in the middle there, I work with students to build and program robots using Arduino microcontrollers, so these mini computers that they can program and add. 7th grade teach some coding as well, some artistic coding, so art design through code. This was made possible through a multi-year approach at expanding our technology use and understanding at Bugs, and was really catalyzed last year with the Title IV grant that we received. And it allowed us to double our student technology with 50 new Chromebooks, and allowed us to add things like a state-of-the-art 3D printer, like I mentioned, the microcontrollers, Arduino microcontrollers, and the creation of 2 very distinct special places that started this year: the Tech Studio, which I run, and the Makerspace, which Jess Kawaj, Director of Sustainability, runs. And these are 2 distinct spaces that students can visit and have opportunity to grow on those skills and work on projects from other content areas. Most of our teachers are Google certified educators, which means they're trained in using a vast suite of products offered by Google to enrich learning for students, to differentiate their instruction, and really ensure that we're reaching all learners. And this process has been ongoing throughout our time at Bugs. I like to consider us a Google school. We really rely on those great products for our students. And all of our students have Google for Education accounts, which they use in class daily and are definitely using now in this remote environment. And we believe that the ongoing training that our teachers receive from the moment they join Bugs, in addition to our students' growing experience with technology, really allowed us to seamlessly transition to a remote learning environment last month. And I think it's just been a testament to the great work that our students and staff are doing in becoming technologically savvy, and as well as just having a vast experience in a regular school day has allowed us to remove remotely. So I'm going to turn it back over to Susan or to Wynette to talk about a little more about our remote learning experience.
Thank you so much, Josh. So Principal Wynette is going to introduce herself. She's an amazing academic leader at Bugs. She's going to tell you about our amazing teaching staff that make it so special, and more about our academic model.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us this evening. I know it's been a long day for everyone on the computer, but again, thank you for joining us. It's very exciting to share what we do at Bugs with prospective families. So, as it says, our teachers have definitely demonstrated just what great champions they really are in recent weeks, and we are so excited that they are our teachers. we own them. Anyway, so teachers do stay at Bugs. Teachers, I've known most of our teachers. I've been at Bugs for 5 years. I started as the assistant principal supervising ELA and social studies. I'm in my 2nd year as a principal at Bugs, and I've known most of our teachers for all of that time, actually. So we have very, very close relationships. It's very interesting to see interactions between teachers as you walk down the hallway, how much they really do care for each other and how much they love collaborating with each other and learning from each other. Our teachers are very experienced and they're always seeking more experiences and new knowledge, which is why we happen to have so many of our teachers who are Google certified. Josh and our other tech coordinator, Georgia, did such a great job of over the years of preparing our teachers with technology, with learning new programs, with just developing their skills and using the programs that we utilize, that when we had to switch over to remote learning, it was not as heavy a lift for most of our teachers as it could have been if we weren't and they weren't on top of this work throughout the school year. So we really, really do appreciate all that they do for us and with us in keeping us engaged with technology, but also in helping us prepare and learn all of the programs that our students are now using during this remote learning time. Growth mindset. If we don't have it, I don't know who does. I think we all come from a place where we have very strong growth mindset. We're always looking for new ways to develop ourselves and each other. And each other is a really important part because someone always wants to share something that they've learned with someone else and is always willing to coach or model. Teachers visit each other's classrooms. Teachers share out during grade level meetings, during department meetings. Teachers actually run professional development for other teachers at our school. We are very big on collaboration. We are very big on recognizing everybody's strengths and encouraging them to demonstrate those strengths throughout our school day, our school year, even in this remote setting. People are demonstrating strengths and sharing them with each other to the point where they don't have to just rely on Josh and Georgia to get help with tech. They rely on each other. In classrooms, pushing into classrooms, emailing, messaging, people are very, very professional and collaborative and focused on making sure that our students get everything that they need. Our curriculum is interdisciplinary, and that's where a lot of the collaboration comes in. We have interdisciplinary sustainability meetings for the whole school on grade level, on departments that teachers plan these interdisciplinary curriculums. This is something that we are really looking to make the most of during remote learning, because we don't have to worry about the state test. That's one thing. It's sad to say that that is a benefit for us of this very sad time that we are experiencing, but it is allowing us to delve deeper into what we are focused on, which is interdisciplinary and sustainability curriculum and content, and making lessons more creative and interesting and engaging during this time for our students. We have most of our classes that are ICT or inclusive. And what that means is we also have 2 teachers in them. Amazing enough, we have teachers who are pushing into our classes that are solo taught during remote learning to support their teachers that they might co-teach with in other classes. So that allows our teachers to really differentiate curriculum for our students. We provide mild, medium, and spicy choices. And what that means is students at different levels can choose assignments that really gets them where they are. They can choose to function in a place that is comfortable for them because of the work that the teachers do to plan those lessons. We have teachers who are just passionate about our students and understanding their needs and really supporting them in growing. I know test scores are important, but growth is a very important thing to us as well. We want to see kids meet their potential and move from one place to the next, regardless of test scores. We do rely on them for or renewals and staying open, but it's not our main focus when it comes to student learning. Our main focus is always on meeting students where they are and doing the best possible job that we can to engage them in learning. Next slide, Josh. So rigor and engagement in curriculum. Through YPAR, which is youth participatory research, and a lot of that happens in a lot of the work that you saw previously, a lot of the project work and the cycle projects that kids do, the interdisciplinary aspect of our curriculum, kids are able to address all of these. The learning standards, student-centered lessons, hands-on real-world application of knowledge, differentiation, and preparing them for high school and those Regents classes that they do in the 8th grade. So starting in 6th grade, kids work collaboratively with other students. They ask those big questions. They research those big questions. They circle back and check their research, and they collaborate with their teachers. They ask those big questions of their teachers too. And they are very strongly encouraged to have a voice and to speak up for the things that they think are affecting them in their lives. Hence all of the clubs we also have during lunch, because a lot of those clubs are student initiated. They are supervised by teachers, but the students have a big voice in initiating clubs that interest them as well. And a lot of that has to do with social, emotional aspects of life. In terms of Regents classes, we do offer living environments for everyone on the 8th grade level. And we offer Algebra 1. Students do test into the Algebra 1 class. And we offer the 8th grade math as well for students who are not interested in Algebra 1, but we do offer living environments to everyone. Next slide. Sustainability education at Bugs. Project-based learning is a love, a passion of mine. I like to see kids engaged in asking questions, having choice, going out on field study, working with each other, asking more questions, looking for more information. It is something that we are embedding in all of our curriculum across the board. We work each year to get better and stronger at sustainability education and project-based learning. A lot of that comes out, as I said before, in those cycle projects that are interdisciplinary, but we also encourage teachers to take big risks to incorporate it into their other units of study besides the cycle units, and to work collaboratively. A lot of the collaboration at Bugs does come out through our department meetings. Our teachers meet weekly in departments and on grade level to not just discuss issues with students that come up, but how they are working together to support students both academically, behaviorally, socially, emotionally, and a lot of that does come out in the work that students do in the classroom. We have the STEAM fair that unfortunately we are not having this year. It's very sad for us because that gives us an opportunity to share a lot of the cycle work with families that kids do throughout the school year. Sustainability Studios, Susan talked a lot about it, and so did Alex. Thank you, Alex. And project blocks. We do encourage our teachers this year. We have all of Bugs teachers actually teaching project block classes to stretch their imagination and use their other strengths besides the content that they might teach to teach project block classes. So we do have dance. We have Mr. Glenn that does the lots of cooking. I know he did some in science class with some kids and brought them into his kitchen, which is very exciting. We have the green team, we have garden club, and opportunities for activism outside of school. We celebrated Earth Day today with some teen activists, which was great. And Susan mentioned earlier, we decided to celebrate Earth Month. And we did the Eco Challenge. I'm sure some of our parents got involved in that. I hope they did. I really enjoyed talking to my daughter about it. She goes to Bugs, by the way. She's a 7th grader. And chose to come to Bugs in 7th grade. So there's a plug for Bugs, if there ever was one. We do have themed inclusion and diversity assemblies. We have our transformation team made up of Bugs staff, and we have assemblies almost every month that focuses on one of our CARES values and brings in a lot of student performances and student engagement. Students actually present at these assemblies and MC these assemblies and have a lot to do with them in planning and participating. We do have the Zero Waste program, and everyone is involved. Everyone is taught. We are all rated on our recycling. I got an A in my office. I miss looking at it for my recycling abilities and understanding how to recycle. But at Bugs, the one important thing to know is that everyone is engaged in what we do. Everyone is accountable for all of these things that we are teaching our students. We all participate, we all engender everything that we hope our students will walk away with when they leave Bugs and go off to high school. And we all really want to support them in learning how to care about those sustainability competencies and their environment, their own sustainability throughout this time, especially, and the sustainability of our community as a whole. Next slide.
Hey, Wynette, I'm wondering, I see that some people are kind of running out of time a little bit. I'm wondering if we can take advantage of this, of Ellis and Aaron being present to talk about what Bugs meant for them around high school preparation. And then maybe we can go back and talk a little bit more about the remote learning and get to people's other questions, if that works for you.
Absolutely.
Okay, so let's go up to Meet a Bugs graduate and family. You could just show real briefly, Josh, the slide before. Hopefully you guys know that with high school admissions, Bugs students are really supported, and Bugs families through our guidance counselor and our advisory program and all the supports to really get into the best fit school of their choice. Everything from focusing on high school readiness skills and researching schools and getting portfolios together and that kind of thing. So we, there's a lot of questions about that often, and I'd say we have great success with that. So let's hear from Erin Walker and Ellis, her son, who is a graduate. And we thought it'd be nice for you guys to hear from Ellis about what it's like for him in high school, having gone to Bugs.
I'll let Ellis take it away. You can hear us okay?
You sound great.
Okay, great.
All right. My name is Ellis.
Here, why don't you sit closer?
All right. My name is Ellis. I went to Bugs my entire middle school career, so from 6th grade to 8th grade, and I now go to the Brooklyn Latin School. The biggest things that Bugs did to really prepare me for that, and more actually just directly allow me to get in, was the SHSAT prep that I took there. I'm pretty sure that was a project block that was available to me, and that prepared me for the SHSAT test, which then eventually got me into the school that I now go to, that I'm very happy with. And also high school readiness and things to prepare for high school is the Regents courses they offer. All students take the living environment science course, and then we'll take the Regents assessment for that course at the end of the year. And you can also test into the Algebra 1 program that you also do, and then you take the test for it at the end of the year. And then if you pass both of those tests, then those are 2 Regents that are knocked off for all of your Regents, they count throughout the entire thing. So having 2 knocked off early is just really helpful. It will be helpful in different ways that will only really start to, you'll only really realize once you get into high school. And I mean, that's really it, but that's just it. But all 3 of those things that I took all 3 of those things were all super helpful for me when going into high school. And the Regents continue to help me because they help how my availability in different courses that I take in school now. And it was just really, it just is really easy. It's a lot easier for me now to progress.
We're missing Susan because you're
Thank you for muting, and I was muted and somebody else wasn't. So Ellis, that was so helpful. I hate to put you on the spot because I know that and you can answer frankly, but I'm curious, are you keeping up your meditation at all?
Not as much as during school, but sometimes when I'm feeling a little bit stressed, it's definitely something I can look to. It's something that really helps me. And when I was in middle school, that really helped me a lot with my ADHD, really, in focusing and things like that. Really just preparing me, because it's the 2 times that you meditate are big transitions, which are when you're first coming into school, transitioning to your actual classes, and then also transitioning from your lunch period, or if you're going outside, going to the yard, you'll get, you get excited, you're talking with your friends, and then you can sort of calm down and transition into, the rest of your classes for the rest of the day.
Awesome. It's so great to see you, by the way. It's just nice to see you. You're
nice to see you too. I missed everyone.
Yeah, we've missed you too. And we've been missing each other too. So we're all in it. Are there any questions in the interest of time? May I ask Antoinette and Susan Baxt, who are monitoring the chat, any particular questions that you see in there that Ellis or Erin should address?
Not really. Well, there's a question about how does, maybe for Ellis, how's the curriculum ramp up to prepare students for high school? You want to talk about how middle school prepared you for high school?
Well, yeah, the Regents courses are high school courses, so they are high school difficulty, and they will feel really difficult when you're taking them in middle school. They were difficult for everyone that took them, but you work through them, and then eventually when you transition into high school, you've already taken 1 or 2 high school courses, and so you're more prepared for the level of difficulty that is going to appear. And it really, it helps, once again, just the idea of transitions. It helps your transition from middle school into high school and the difficulty change in the different courses and things that you're going to be doing.
And Erin, while we have you too, do you want to share anything about being a Bugs parent of 2 Bugsters, and maybe even the transition to remote learning, or anything you want to add for now?
Sure. So yeah, I'm the parent of Ellis, obviously, who's in 9th grade, and his sister Haley, who is in 8th grade currently at Bugs. And I would just encourage all of you, I know this is a really hard time in general, but especially sort of deciding where you're going to go to middle school. It was a hard decision for us when Ellis first decided to go. It was easy when Haley was going to go, because we already knew what we were getting into and we were really happy with the school. I would just say the community aspect of the school is really important to us. I think just in addition to the academic preparation that Ellis got and Haley has gotten, she's going to Moreau High School next year, which she's really excited about. Ellis actually had a choice between going to Brooklyn Latin or another school that he got into, and being able to talk to his friends and talk to his teachers and get advice really helped him make a decision to go to Brooklyn Latin, which was a hard one to make. So it's not just the academics, but the community. And I would also encourage any parents who end up selecting Bugs and whose children go there to please join the PTA. That has been a really important part of our experience at Bugs, and we would encourage folks to do that, because it's really a shared partnership with the school, and it really helps build the sense of community and really gives you a voice in making sure that your kids are getting what they need, and it's just a good collaboration.
Thanks so much. And while we're talking about we're talking to parents, maybe we want to go back a couple slides, Josh, to supporting families through remote learning, and give Janara or Anna another opportunity to talk about whatever they want to talk about, but particularly what it's been like during remote learning.
I'm happy to jump in to that. Sorry, Anna.
Go for it. Go.
I think it was really great to hear Mr. Josh talk about all the preparation, even before the crisis happened, but to hear about how the transition was relatively seamless because of the work that you'd done before that. I didn't know that. So for us as a family, as a parent, when all this went down, we were so appreciative and have, as I've said this before, but there's been a rotation of just awe and gratitude about the work that everybody has done to ensure normalcy for these students, because we can't provide that right now, but you can provide a sense of normalcy, which has been so tremendously helpful, I think, in fostering that community and fostering that confidence that, yes, it's rough out there right now, but there is a path to getting back to normal. And this school has outlined that and has really made that clear for all the students. We get to hear what's happening in the classroom now because of remote learning, which is also a huge gift. And every time a teacher comes on, It's always, the first couple minutes are always, how's everybody doing? What can we do? Anything you want to get off your chest? What's going on for you all today? Which is also fantastic. The the partnership of teaching, I think is really dynamic right now, because you can see that a teacher's taking care of the chat while another teacher is doing instruction, or vice versa. You can just see how they are such a strong team together right now, which I know is happening in the classroom, but I never got to see it until right now. So that's been just so dynamic. I cannot imagine being at another school right now, honestly. The school and the staff and the leadership have always put these kids first, but right now that has been their number one priority. And I really can't imagine being anywhere else and being this happy anywhere else right now. So thank you.
Yeah, I would echo all of those sentiments. I mean, I think that the school has done an amazing job. And I do have a point of reference. I have a younger one in a different school, and I see how much they struggle. And it really, from a parent perspective, has looked seamless at Bugs. So thank you for that. I mean, one of the things that I wanted to highlight there too is it's not just sort of the academics part, but clearly the care that goes into also the emotional well-being, the way that, one of Alex's, quiet time teachers reached out to her and, asked some of the kids to, do a small group meditation. I mean, that kind of thing in this environment, which, there's a lot of anxiety for everyone, to be able to help them center, to be able to give them tools, to sort of deal with what's going on and all the craziness. It's been really amazing to see. And again, very proud of what the school has done, and so happy to be part of that community.
I'm sorry, can I say one more thing? Sorry. The other thing I just want to say to any prospective parents who are on this call and listening right now, as somebody who's been at the school for this, not even quite 9 months, but as a 6th grade parent, everything Lynette and Susan has said has just, there's such the resounding truth is, you go to a lot of these opportunities, you hear a lot of people talk about their school, but I've never felt everything both Susan and Lynette have said. I've been like, yep, that's happening. That's totally true. They're 100% right about that. So just as a parent, having heard it from an incoming parent side and having heard it now as an actual parent, I can tell you honestly that what they're saying is 100% true about the school.
That's great. Thank you, Janara. That means so much to us. And you guys are definitely partners. That's what's so cool about being a small learning community, is being in it together and having that dialogue and that feedback and like rolling up our sleeves together. So we really appreciate it. Let's see. Susan, shall we go? May I ask you, should we go, and Lynette, should we go back or should we go forward to the Q&A slide?
I think moving forward, I did talk some about the remote learning, and so did Josh, so I don't think we have to go back to that.
Great. We got votes for the Q&A. All right. So, and all of this has been the A's, right, in response to a lot of Q's. So we hope that in the course of hearing this, long presentation, all these different voices, that you did get most of your questions answered. I'm also super proud of our kids in particular, but also our staff in the chat, keeping those questions and answers going in real time. Also know that there's a lot of information on our website. A lot of the nuts and bolts kind of questions that were being asked are addressed. You see this handout on the right side of the slide. It's also available on our website. And Lynette and I and everybody else can kind of just jump in with answering some of these specific questions that came in before the session and see if we can address them if we haven't already. How does Bugs support a love of art, design, performing arts beyond 6th grade sustainability class? I would say that we definitely do through the project block classes that are student choice, that they are also present in the clubs that you see and in the after school program. Is there anything you want to add to that, Lynette?
No, that's the answer.
I think we agree that art arts are really important at all aspects of our lives. And when we think about essential functions right now in life, art is still really there. And I think that we know in particular that adolescents benefit from artistic exploration and expression. And that's just built into a lot of what we offer and do. I think the kids did a pretty good job describing discipline at Bugs. I talked about the focus on restoration and really the positive culture around our values that we try to promote. Is there anything else that you wanted to add, Wynette, or anything else, Antoinette and Susan, that you saw in the chat that's we should address expressly?
Hi, this is Antoinette. There was a question about bullying. How do we deal with bullying? And can you share some examples of our strategies?
Yeah, sure. So we actually, first off, want to make sure that people understand what bullying actually is. And because a lot of times we do hear the word bullying a lot. And so first we work to make sure that it is, in fact, bullying. But part of what Susan mentioned before about using restorative practices, that is generally our first approach, is to work with students to resolve the issues that may be causing whatever conflict that is happening, to give them the opportunity to identify how they are hurting someone else and the impact that their choices have on other people and sometimes on their classes and on the school at large. So we do take a more restorative approach to issues of bullying before we take a stronger approach. If we do need to take a stronger approach, we definitely do, because bullying is not something that we take lightly at all. At Bugs, we consider Bugs a community space where people come and they should feel safe. And safety is our #1 concern. So if for any reason you are causing emotional or physical harm to someone else, we definitely take it extremely seriously, but we first take it from a restorative place.
I think we're always, what I love is that the staff is always asking why. Where is this behavior coming from? What need underneath this is not being met and that we need to address? And often with bullying, it can also be a cycle where the person who may be engaging in a bullying behavior has been bullied. And there's a lot of social emotional work that has to be done there, while also, like Wynette said, being really clear about the lines that are drawn of what's acceptable in the community while having opportunities for restoration. There was a question I saw, we'll address some more of these other ones here, but I saw a question about why is the school day so long? And I thought I should chime in with that. You know, the extended school day and year has really been shown in studies to have really wonderful impacts on student achievement. There's a certain point where it doesn't. We think we're trying to strike that balance. You will note that we don't have as much homework, or maybe you can't note yet, but please note that we don't have as much homework as other schools, middle schools may have. We try to have a focus on the work being done within the school day. And within that school day, we also want enough time for kids to, like we said, have these other opportunities for movement, for meditation, for outdoor time, for project work. And in order for that to happen, you know, the longer school day is better for that. So that's why we have that. We answered the question of what advisory was like. Thanks tonight to Naomi. How you handle the different learning levels? Are there more advanced classes, or all kids together? What if kids are struggling? This is a great differentiation question that I think Wynette addressed already. But if you want to add some more, please do. It's a big strength of ours.
Yes, we, of course, we have the co-taught classes. What that allows us to do is to utilize various co-teaching models to plan to meet kids' individual needs in smaller groups. For those of you who may have experienced this before, some of the main ones we do use are parallel teaching, which is like the class being equally split with 2 teachers teaching the same content. We also have alternative teaching, which is the class maybe being split in a larger group and a smaller group. And in the smaller group, the content may be modified to meet the needs of the students in that group. So those are some of the things that we do. We are looking into the best ways to do that remotely, actually, in breakout groups in Google Hangouts. So we are definitely always thinking about how to differentiate, but we also, like I said before, provide those mild, medium, and spicy options to give kids the opportunity to work at their level or to meet their best potential and to have a choice in what level of rigor they want to engage in or feel the need to engage in at any given time.
Thank you. So we touched on the homework. Do you want to talk, Wynette, briefly about how much homework is typical? Our kids can chime in too, I guess, if they want to.
Typically, I would say that the kids might receive 1 assignment from each subject area for the week. For example, in social studies, they get a current event assignment for homework. That is, they go to News ELA, they read an article, they respond to the article. In math, they get a packet for the week that addresses the content that they're taught throughout the week, and they turn it in a week later. Teachers meet weekly on grade level just to ensure that they're not overloading kids with homework, because typically we do not want kids to be spending hours and hours each night doing homework after they've already been at school for a long day. So teachers also seek feedback from students about how they're managing the amount of homework that they're getting and what might be getting in the way of them completing it so that they can modify it as necessary.
Did you want to add anything, Alex, or anybody else about their experience with homework or comparing?
I'll add something. Like you said, Miss Wynette, it's mostly just weekly homework that we have. Sometimes we'll get projects which we have to complete, but that's always over a long period of time. And also reading class, we get a weekly reading log, which we get on Mondays and have to turn in on Fridays. And we just log our pages of reading and we do our 4 stop and jots a week. So yeah.
Great, thank you, Alex.
And stop and jots are your thoughts about the text.
Yes.
Yeah, can I say something as an 8th grader?
Sure.
There's like I feel like there's a little bit more homework as an 8th grader at Bugs, but it's definitely not like unmanageable, but like it's a little bit more to prepare us for high school. So it was definitely a little bit different than like 6th grade and 7th grade, but it's not like a lot. It's definitely, if you're like able to organize it and like for the week, if you're able to say, hey, I'm doing this on Monday, this on Tuesday, then you're able to manage it and it's totally fine.
Thank you, Naomi. That's really helpful. Yes, homework is always meant to be meaningful and manageable. Do we offer sex education? We do. We have to make accommodations. We actually cannot provide sex education on site in the diocese rented building, which is interesting. So we mostly talk about healthy relationships in our advisory classes and in that advisory curriculum throughout. And then when it's more explicit sex education conversation, that is done in an offsite location. Another question was about supports that are in place for LGBTQ plus students. I heard one parent say at one point that, you know, what she loved about Bugs was that at Bugs, you can be who you are. And I think that's really what we strive for, and ideally what kids feel. And we've had students facing all sorts of challenges in their lives, and we want Bugs to be the safe haven where they are accepted and can explore issues in a safe place. We have an LGBTQ plus club as well that discusses these issues, and allies are very welcome. And so this is something that we're really proud of and work hard to have. Compared to traditional public schools, how well is Bugs positioned in the face of the projected large-scale government education funding cuts? This is a really good question. It's something that I've literally been, we've been spending hours on recently. I have to say that we're well positioned in that being small and being nimble, we are very efficient. We can be incredibly flexible with how we use our resources, with how we allocate roles. We are constantly thinking about what our kids and our community needs and what talents and resources we have available and how to make those things come together. I can say we have some savings, and we also have some facility funding that we receive that keeps us well positioned to run the school in the enriched way that we do, to meet all kids' needs and have an innovative program. And we will continue to have that moving forward and use our flexibility to respond to those cuts that everyone will be facing. The next question is, what are your thoughts? Sorry, someone's leaving the meeting, so I can't read behind that. So what are your thoughts about remote learning in the fall and plan for welcoming new students? We don't have a crystal ball like most people do, but we're always contingency planning. And we know that some of our incoming sixth graders, your current fifth graders, may have experienced some slide academically. They may have experienced certain things social emotionally this spring, that we will definitely take into account as we and already have as we're planning our student orientation and beginning of school that last week in August, as well as the initial months at Bugs to acclimate them to middle school. We are prepared to do what we must do for the safety of our kids and community, and we will meet them and engage them as needed. Are there any other questions in the chat that we should
Yes.
talk about?
20 cash assistance job center workers have died of coronavirus.
Wow. Okay.
Can I help you? We're trying to have everyone on mute and then put questions in the chat. Antoinette, since we're still quite a few, thank you for hanging in there. 72 people.
Susan, there were after-school questions.
Oh, great. Okay, maybe you want to go to the after-school slide, Josh. We have free after-school. It's pretty amazing. It is through a DYCD grant. It is no cost to families. It's every day. We got some questions about sort of evening and dismissal times. What is it like when kids leave the after school program and it's dark? Our after school director, Valencia Kernan, who's amazing, not only provides a very enriching program, but she also thinks about the student safety all the time, and she adapts the hours somewhat as needed. To works with families closely to meet their needs and make sure the kids are safe. She has an amazing leadership program there, STEM focused classes and leadership classes, and competitive sports with soccer and basketball and a running club, a lot of arts as well, and they also do homework help. So it's a great program. Was there a specific question about it?
No, just wanted more information.
Okay, great. And there's also a page on the website, and you can also write Ms. Valencia directly for information. Her information is on the website as well.
I just wanted to respond to a question about when school starts in August. Our typical first week of school is a time when, as I believe one of our students said, we spend in advisories. There's a lot of team building. There's the introduction to our sustainability content, especially in the 6th grade level, and for any student who is new to bugs. And if students happen to, because I know a lot of times coming from a DOE school, from elementary school, people plan out the summers and some kids are in summer camps, or hopefully things get better so that some of the normal functions resume throughout the summer. But for us, we do understand that sometimes kids may not be able to attend the first week or some of the days in the first week. We do some of our baseline assessments for 6th grade during that week, and for our other students as well. But we definitely plan for that in the event that kids are not able to be there, for makeups, to acclimate them to our bugs community. When they do arrive, we often have kids who start after the school year has started, and we definitely work with families and with the students to make sure they are acclimated to bugs in a way that they do not feel the effects of not being there the first week.
Any other questions, our chat monitor folks, that we should attend to?
Well, early on, there are a lot of detailed questions about curriculum, like what books are read in 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, how is science broken out across 6th, 7th, and 8th grade around the curriculum, more about what math curriculum we use. Do you want to just direct people to where they could find that on the website, or let them know?
Yes, all of that information is available on the grade level websites on our bugs website. So you can go into any of the grade level pages on the bugs website and you will see an outline of the units of study and a lot more details about what happens on grade level and in specific content areas.
So I believe you click on the curriculum tab, if I have that right, Susan?
Yes.
And then the grade level websites are at the bottom of the curriculum tab. So you can just click on, you can just poke around and get nosy, check out 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. And you can see. Some things have shifted a little bit since remote learning. Not everything is up there at the moment because we've shifted to a different environment, but you can definitely get a sense of those things. Oh, thank you, Josh. Josh and Kay just posted the link as well.
Oh, great. And our reading classrooms have very rich libraries, very well stocked, and we're continuously updating them. Our writing classrooms also have libraries. I mean, actually, a lot of our content area classrooms have libraries as well. And we have some amazing teachers who are always looking for new, fresh, innovative reading material to engage students in reading. We have some other options for students who may struggle as readers. We do have a program called Learning Ally that allows them to have access to audio books in a way that they can actually engage in the text and do the same type of work of highlighting and note-taking and things like that. And there's the News ELA program that we also utilize that allows kids to have access to current events and read about current events and engage with social issues in that way. What was the other program? The other program we had is Achieve, which is not every kid in our school has access to it, but it's definitely a program that we use to support kids who may be struggling and might need some additional supports in reading.
Then I think Naomi wanted to say something about leadership opportunities.
Great.
The leadership clubs we have is Student Council and NJHS. NJHS is National Junior Honor Society. I'm the vice president of NJHS, and I'm in Student Council as a member. And Student Council is basically like a club where you're able to help the bugs community as a student. Like, we are working to make sure different events happen, even though like now, since we're online, we're doing Google Meet meetings and stuff. So we're working to make sure different events happen that would have happened at the end of the year. We're trying to see if they can still happen, even if it's like shifted towards a little later, like the fall, or even if it's like an online kind of event. And that's the thing that we're able to kind of improve the school as students. And then there's NJHS, which is more of a student-run club. I'm the vice president, and the executive board is able to like plan meetings, and we kind of run the meetings through having an advisor be like in charge of making sure things are happening, but we are really the ones who control the meetings. So they're there making sure we're having everyone pay attention and stuff, but we are really taking charge, and that's why it's a leadership club. So it has like a lot of we have a lot of community service, and we have to have a certain grades to be in that club. So it's a very great opportunity to advance your leadership skills. And we went on the conference lead every year. So I went a year ago.
If there's still a minute, there's kind of a question about how incoming sixth graders are assessed for which class they go into. And similarly, another parent wanted, I guess, more clarification around the ICT classes, that what if his child doesn't have an IEP?
So those are very good questions. We do not assess kids to place them per se in classes. We do our baseline assessments that for the most part allow teachers to plan curriculum that best meets the needs of our students. However, that data does give us information so that we can set up our classes in a way that allows for different levels of students to seamlessly work together and function well together, and allow the teachers to be able to meet individual students' needs. So it doesn't matter if your child doesn't have an IEP. Your child may still be placed in an ICT class, and the benefit of that is that your child is in a class with two teachers. It's not that we don't have like the class with the highest functioning kids, that is the gen ed class. That class is also a mix of students at different levels. The only difference is that none of the students actually have IEPs. So we do use our data mainly to help us plan curriculum and meet students' academic needs, and not necessarily for class placement in that way.
I think
Susan, do you want to add anything to that?
No, that sounds good.
And then maybe just, if you don't mind explaining Spanish a little more, there are some questions about how many times a week people have Spanish. If you could explain again which grades have Spanish.
Oh yeah, 7th and 8th grade have Spanish, and they meet twice a week. Spanish is also a co-taught class, and 7th and 8th grade, it's important. Well, actually, if a student is interested in taking the Spanish language proficiency test, they do need to have 2 years of Spanish. And so that's why we offer it. And as I think, Susan, you had mentioned that because of the sustainability class in 6th grade, like the schedule doesn't allow for Spanish in the 6th grade. But we do offer it to 7th and 8th graders. And the curriculum, as in every other class at Bugs, is differentiated, modified, and so forth to meet individual students' needs.
Yeah, we have a lot of native speakers that are also unpacking and sort of re-entering Spanish at different levels, that have different proficiencies, that maybe they can speak, or they don't have skills in writing. And our teachers do a good job of engaging all of our students where they are to share what they know and to build. Looks like, is there any other questions, Susan, that we should address? You got
I think those. I think it's going on 2 hours, so.
I know. I think we need to wrap this up. We think you're amazing, everybody. Thank you for being such involved and interested parents. We're still here for you. So as you know, you have until tomorrow at midnight to accept your seat or not. And we can answer your questions further if needed by writing at admissions@bugsbrooklyn.org. And you can also look on our website as well. There's also a phone number that you can use. And yes, we would, we welcome, if we can help in any more in the next 24 hours, let us know. But we hope that you'll join us at our special community, and we wish you the best of luck with this decision and just with this time in general. Thank you so much for joining us. Thanks again to our amazing kids who managed the chat and presented. Thanks to our Bugs parents and partners, and to our Bugs staff. Have a good night.